Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. With wide participation from the governorates of North and South Sharqiya, 5th Traditional Horse Sports Festival is held in the Wilaya of Jalan Bani Buali. 27 people are killed in car bombs targeting a crowded market and militia checkpoints in north of Baghdad. And rallies against Houthis take place in several cities of Yemen. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. With wide participation from the wilayas of the governorates of North and South Sharqiya, the Omani Equestrian Federation, organized in cooperation with Al Asail Equestrian Club in the wilaya of Jalan Bani Buali, the 5th Traditional Horse Sports Festival of the current year. More than 100 horses took part in the event, which was held at the Traditional Horse Sports track at Saysindah in the wilaya of Jalan Bani Buali. The festival included various paths such as Rakhda al-Ard for horse riders, a number of traditional arts like Al-Razha and Al-Madima traditional sea art. Various horse displays and some traditional arts were performed such as Al-Hambal and Al-Tahwrib. At the end of the festival, the chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Nasser Al-Harasi, Chairman of the Public Authority for Radio and Television, honored horse riders who achieved the first place in the festival's competitions.
في المركز الثالث في أصغر القائد صالح الخليفة السليم من الأعلام الشعبية.
The Shura and the society was the theme of a discussion meeting organized by the citizens of the Wilaya of Bahla. It aimed to raise awareness among all segments of the society about the significance of active participation in Shura Council election for the 8th term of the Council. The meeting discussed a number of topics, including the Shura match in the Sultanate and its gradual development based on the enlightened vision of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos. It also dealt with the importance of the Council in enabling the citizen to contribute to the nation building and the powers given to the Council and its members and the mechanisms to activate them. The Civil Defense and Ambulance Station in Mudaibi seeks to convey several awareness messages to various government and non-government bodies and acquaint the society with its role and services related to quick response to emergency cases such as fires and drowning incidents. Evacuation plans of government establishments such as schools are among these awareness programs conducted by the Civil Defense and Ambulance Station in Mudaibi to check the preparedness of personnel working in these establishments during emergency cases by training them the most important ways followed in case of evacuation and fire. Activities of elderly friends concluded in Al-Wasil village in the Wilaya of Bidia. The activities included honoring the participants, electronic shows, play and accompanying exhibition. The events aim to spread awareness of the importance of the elderly people among the community. The accompanying exhibition, which contains some pictures of the social works of Elderly Friends team in the Governorate of North Sharqiya, produced the team roles in the society. Stay tuned, because still to come in our news bulletin. The fight begins for Republican 2016 presidential nomination in the United States of America. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Car bombs targeted a crowded market and militia checkpoints north of Iraq's capital, killed 27 people today. The first bombs exploded near the market in the town of Balad Ruz, 70 kilometers northeast of Baghdad, killing 11 people and wounding 15. A suicide car bomber later attacked a checkpoint manned by militiamen near the city of Samarra, killing 8 militia fighters and wounding 15. A second suicide bomber attacked another checkpoint just south of Samarra, killing 8 fighters and wounding 16. Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said today that Daesh group militants who destroyed priceless antiquities from the northern Iraqi city of Mosul have kept some artifacts to sell, going to prevent the militants from smuggling them to market. Responding to a video showing Daesh group fighters destroying sculptures and statues which date back nearly 3,000 years, al-Abadi said they have information that the militants destroyed some artifacts and kept others for smuggling, and the smuggling operation is afoot. All the items were marked and recorded, and Iraq would seek to track them down with international help. The video released on Thursday showed men smashing up artifacts dating back to the 7th century BC Assyrian era, toppling statues from plinths, smashing them with a sledgehammer and breaking up a carving of a winged bull with a drill. Archaeologists said that some of the items were from the ancient Mesopotamian cities of Nimrud and Nineveh, where Mosul now stands, as well as the ruins of Hatra, which dates back more than 2,000 years. The United Nations Security Council has condemned what it described as barbaric terrorist attacks in Iraq by Daesh groups, including the destruction of the artifacts, abduction of tribesmen, and what it said was the immolation of 45 Iraqis. Syrian government forces have taken control of villages in southern Syrian part of a campaign they started this month against insurgents, posing one of the biggest remaining threats to Damascus. Syria's state news agency said the village of Tal al-Majda in Suwaida province and Tal Antar in Dera were taken. The south is the last notable foothold of the mainstream. Syrian government forces fought rebels on the suburbs of Damascus and Dera, using airstrikes from fighter jets in an attempt to keep the rebels at bay. In Dera, rebels shelled pro-government fighter positions, while the Damascus suburb of eastern Ghouta was apparently bombarded by the Syrian Air Force. Yemeni security officials say a U.S. drone strike has hit a car in central Yemen, killing 3 men believed to be al-Qaeda militants. The U.S. has launched several airstrikes in recent weeks, reflecting Washington's resolve to keep fighting the militants despite Yemen's political paralysis. Meanwhile, rallies against the rebels, known as Houthis, took place in several other places across the country. U.S. senators introduced legislation yesterday requiring Congress need a review of any deal with Iran over its nuclear program. The Iran Nuclear Agreement Review Act would require President Barack Obama to submit to Congress the text of any agreement within 5 days of concluding a final deal with Iran. The bill would also prohibit Obama from suspending or waiving sanctions on Iran passed by Congress for 60 days after a deal. The Foreign Relations panel passed a new sanctions bill on Iran this month, but lawmakers are giving the talks between Iran and 6 countries, including the United States, until March 24th deadline before that bill would move to the Senate floor. Republican candidates are already jostling for pole position in the race to be their party's candidate in the 2016 U.S. presidential elections. More details in the following report.
He's raised more money than any other potential Republican candidate for president, and he's ahead in many polls. So Jeb Bush should be popular at the CPAC Conservative Conference, but he faced a mixed crowd, having to react to some booing and heckling, while some pointedly walked out during his Q&A session.
Well, first of all, for those that made a ooh sound, is that what it was? Well, I'm marking them down as neutral, and I want to be your second choice if I decide to go beyond this.
Down on the show floor, many traditionally conservative causes are on display, such as gun rights and small government. The crowd here is younger than the average Republican, And it's easy to find those who aren't excited by the prospect of a third Bush presidency.
I wouldn't support Jeb Bush for president.
I just feel he's just, we need a change.
People don't want another Bush, I don't think. And I've met him, and I've seen him in person, heard him several times, and just not impressed.
It's not just the feeling of déjà vu either. Professor Lara Brown of George Washington University says Jeb Bush has taken several positions that a lot of conservatives don't like.
He's been both more liberal on immigration issues. He's also been in favor of things like the Common Core. And now what you can see is there's been a great deal of backlash over sort of that level of consistency or federal mandating of education and curriculum.
With elections still nearly 2 years away, other candidates are starting to make a showing. Governor Scott Walker topped a poll in early voting state Iowa this week, popular for his anti-union action in his home state of Wisconsin. Libertarian Rand Paul is also popular with many of the students here and is doing well in some early polls. Chris Christie, meanwhile, was seen as an early frontrunner. At CPAC, though, he was on the back foot.
If I decide to run for president, I'm not worried about what polls say 21 months before we're going to elect the President of the United States.
Christie may be right not to read too much into the polls at this early stage, and CPAC attendees do tend to be to the right of much of their own party. But after establishment figures John McCain and Mitt Romney failed to win the last two presidential elections, more radical voices in the party may find it easier to be heard in 2016.
Now for the general weather forecast. Clear to partly cloudy skies will prevail over the governorate of Masandam and the coastal areas of Sea of Oman and Hajar Mountains, with chances of scattered rainfalls, low temperature and poor visibility due to dust-raising winds in some governorates. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with low clouds and fog over the coastal areas of the Arabian Sea. Winds will be northwesterly moderate to active, while along the coast of Arabian Sea it will be southwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be moderate along the coast of the governorate of Masandam and Sea of Oman with a maximum wave height of 2 meters and will be 3.5 meters at night, while it will be slight to moderate along the rest of the coast with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. With wide participation from the governorates of North and South Sharqiya, 5th Tradition Horse Sports Festival is held in the Wilaya of Jalan Bani Buali. 27 people are killed in car bombs targeting a crowded market and militia checkpoints in north of Baghdad. And rallies against Houthis take place in several cities of Yemen. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studio, thank you for watching and good night.